everybody. So if we get it over,
It'll
you
get to them, and then
residents
Kirsty has a tri-community
We'll post it,
email.
put it on the town website, and
and then you can email your
Yep.
group.
I give John, he gets more emails from me than, I give him a ton of emails.
Maybe Linda in Sturbridge, I'm not sure if she took a list of the folks in attendance at that big meeting in Sturbridge
Mhm.
of email addresses.
Mhm.
Because the time is running so short, it'll
Mhm.
give residents more time to put a letter together. Maybe she could email them and let them know, this is, you gotta have comments in, just to get a jump on that.
I don't think we should delay starting work on a letter in some
Yeah.
capacity where we
Mhm.
lack an attorney at this point.
Right.
Even if we have to put something together, so we're ready. If we wait till the final minute and have 4 days, 5 days, we would maybe just for a backup to have something, but that's something the board needs to discuss as far as legal.
Yeah, that's what I started off this conversation, we kinda got a little sidetracked, but
That's what I'm trying to
this
steer you
this
back
board
on.
has an action on the table that I would like to address. And I think that we should get another comment letter out to DEP. Gary, you and I talked about it a little bit, you said, you had a couple of points that you could add to this.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly draft up components of the letter related to the hydrologic concerns and those issues. I think it wouldn't be appropriate for me to comment on the legal components.
Mhm.
I think the letter you guys provided last time addressed those, and I think those concerns are essentially the same now.
Me and Jim said the same thing, we have the letter, change the date and resubmit the same letter.
Save
Yeah.
$11,000 for the town.
But there are some technical, I'd like to, I'll add some technical things to it, either as a separate letter, or I can just provide it to Jim, and Jim can incorporate it.
The letter's gonna come from the board anyway.
Right, so I'll just add
think it
a
has-
couple more bullets.
I-
So I'll do that and get that to Jim.
So I'm looking for motion to make a letter.
Can we make it in a little bit sooner so we have more time?
Well, our letter has to be out within the 21-day
I
period.
mean, the letter can go as soon as possible. Well, this is the one to the DEP, so what, are you talking about getting the word out to the folks, Willie? I mean,
I'd like to get the word out to the other folks sooner or later.
Right, oh, yeah,
But I think we have a pretty good plan for our letter.
right, yes.
But what I'm looking for right now is a vote from this board to take action on creating that letter or not creating that letter. So,
Make a motion to create that letter.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, yeah, let's get that letter out from this board. I think it's gonna be pretty similar to Attorney Cox's previous letter, or the previous letter, Town of Charlton, and this board submitted to DEP. Gary, if you can touch on your concerns with that, and we'll kind of put a larger letter together.
Yeah, I have all the prior letters and stuff that we can,
I'll work with you to get a draft.
we'll get it together. It won't be as technically sound as, but we have all that anyway. I mean, basically, like, add a few things and change the dates.
We'll talk
It's
about
still
the
your
basins,
signature.
it's all that.
It's the same stuff.
That'll save a lot.
It's the same verbiage. It's nothing, you can add a few things, if anything, but I'd rather not be late and miss the deadline
Oh, yeah.
than wait and try and hire an attorney, get them caught up.
Oh, I agree.
And just to let you know that this did go to our prior attorney, this letter, so he may call me tomorrow.
Okay, Melissa.
Something that's kind of off topic for a second, but something that I think you guys should know about. We were talking about odor and noise and truck traffic. The trucks have been told that if they go down to the landfill too early, they're gonna be fined by the landfill. So now they've been stacking up on Route 20 there in front of the box factory. So anywhere between 6 a.m. and 6:45 this morning, when I was leaving for work, 4 trucks at once came out and blocked traffic for the people that were coming down Route 20. So I'm going to do a little more research into the legal part of things, but just so this board is aware, they're sitting on the side of the road, they're stacking them up, and some private property, some not private property. I think the board should be aware of the fact that that's they're out, so they don't get their fines.
I'm aware of it. I've been
Okay.
monitoring it.
Okay.
They're waiting because they will get fined. They were parking on 169, but due to the construction and being on Incom property in that area, they couldn't park there because all the machines and trucks were there. So now they moved back. But there are 20 to 25 trucks on Griffin Road also, because that's where they're parked.
But they're permitted.
They're permitted, and that's where they're housed. The other trucks are coming from out on the other side of Boston.
the concern is that there's all kinds of traffic coming through in the morning, coming down Route 20, some at blazing speeds, and yes, they shouldn't be blazing down the road, but they were pulling right out in front of everyone this morning, all four of them, right
Yeah, they
out.
wanna hurry up and get there,
Of
but
course
it's
they-
also private property, so I'd have to
Right.
speak to the owner.
They're stacking up across from John Deere too, where that junkyard used to be.
Yep.
You see them there in the morning. They
Yep.
pretty much, you see them back at the old centerfolds, they're stacked in there.
Yep. Yep.
So if you go to Auburn, you can like, oh, there's one, there's,
Yeah.
they're out there.
How many trucks a day are we talking about that go to the landfill?
Well, it's what, 405?
40?
Oh,
405,000 tons a year, so we shot that up between 240 days.
I was just curious, just
You
a
guys
rough
actually
estimate.
get a,
The average truck would haul about 30 tons.
when you get an actual summary report that has the load list right on it, look at how many that came
Tonnage,
through.
material log,
Oh, I think this came out today, right?
yeah, I sent
The
it to you
print,
today.
the print was so
So-
small, I thought I was going blind.
October was,
They're all right here.
That's by day, I think, isn't it? It's broken out by day too.
It is.
It's even
October.
smaller.
Every single date is on here, and
Yeah.
also you notice the loads that were turned away. And I guess the question Gary and I spoke with today is, where the load's gonna go after they're turned away, complete load rejection. Oh,
we don't know.
Can you read that?
You
Barely?
go around the block and check them back in.
I don't think so, but it's a good question.
Yep.
say 8,000 tons of municipal, non-municipal solid waste and 16,000 tons of municipal solid waste in October. So
Chuck that.
25,000 tons.
Divided by 30 tons.
25 is usually, it's 1,000 loads. So,
This is just
a
October.
month.
Yeah.
This is all October.
So that's 250 a week. That's 50 a day.
That's 40.
Well, just a approximate, I don't know if that's about right or not.
Oh, it's a ballpark.
Yeah. But that information, it's all, so that you guys, we have that.
And I did forward it to, I just received it today.
Yeah.
That's also legal too.
Yes,
Everything that they're doing
it's
is
formal.
legal. Any more comments?
I think John
Yeah,
is.
real quick, Gary, the land, you said they tested the drum at the Fox property, of what was in it, but didn't they also test the ground under and around it too, and found there not to be any chemicals
So-
in the ground or the drum leaking?
So DEP did an assessment, a visual assessment, and then a sampling assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Ty and Bond, Sanborn have done a visual assessment after DEP did both of theirs. DEP, yes, tested the contents of the drum, multiple samples on the ground around it, and some other miscellaneous, some little buckets of water and things they tested. DEP did not find anything other than they found 1,4-dioxin in their rinse water that they use to clean their instruments. They use Alkanox, which is a detergent, to clean their instruments, which probably has 1,4-dioxin in it. No 1,4-dioxin, anything else they tested. And they found PC in the drum. DEP's position was that the drum aspirated when they opened it, which meant it was tight, no indications of a leak. DEP's indication in their memo suggests that it was a virgin drum, never been opened before. The memo from Sanborn Head talks about the fact that the drum had the bungs in it, but it did not have the, they usually put a metal seal over the drum, so when you buy a brand new drum, the drum was also 20-something years old, so it's possible that had been removed prior. So their position was, it was not a virgin drum, and that the contents may have been mixed with something, a chlorinated solvent is what they're presuming. So their assumption is that was not a virgin product drum, that something else was put in it. DEP said one thing, Time Bond said, or Sanborn had said a different thing. So based on that, they want to go do some testing. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. DEP did testing 3 or 4 spots directly around the drum. Did not find any contaminants.
That kind of blows their assessment of our issues coming from the drum kind of out of the water, because if it was, you would have something directly under the drum in the ground.
I mean, I think this is actually, this document's a good read for you guys because it does spell out their position. And they're entitled to their position, to their opinion. And if the testing is done, the questions will be answered. And if it's a null hypothesis, it's a null hypothesis, then they can go look at the next area of concern. If they're right, then Mr. Fox has some issues to deal with. I don't have an opinion on either one yet, only because the DEP data suggests there was nothing there. But other people think otherwise, and if they can get access, which they're asking for, and they're asking for support from DEP, it sounds like there'll be some more testing done there.
Do you have that electronically, Michelle?
I sent it to John.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we do.
So I sent it to you.
Yeah, again, this is available on the website, but yeah, I downloaded it and gave it to the town.
I did forward it to John, and he said he was gonna send it to everybody, that's why I
It's on
didn't
the
send it to
website.
everyone. I usually send it to John and he forwards.
Can I add one other point?
Go for it.
Today I received a copy of a frequently asked questions document from Tracy. I don't know if you guys have or have not seen this, but again, I have to give credit where credit's due. This is pretty well written. It says what they're gonna do. It answers some pretty good questions. In general, with I think the exception of twice, they haven't met their deadline of getting reports out within 30 days. So, as a resident, if you had a question, this is available. You know, when's your home gonna be sampled? When are you getting the results? When will they give you a 24-hour notice? When will they not give you a 24-hour notice? Again, it's all on one page. It appears, based on my review, to be consistent with what DEP has required them to do. And hopefully it will help answer some questions. I just saw this today, just came across, first I've seen of it. And do you guys, was it emailed to the residents? Have anybody seen this?
I sent it to the group already, yeah.
Okay. Did you just see it today, or have you seen it
Today,
prior?
saw it today.
Okay, because I've never seen it.
I just received it today.
So,
But we know that we're still waiting on some reports, and there are people who haven't gotten reports from September, October, and who were skipped in testing as well.
I am aware of the one that was skipped. The board, if we can't do anything unless we get information from you guys. So if it was tested in October 15th, the results came in November 15th, or October 30th, they would have until November 30th to get them out. If they were tested in September, the results should definitely be here by now. Because again, it's about a 2-week cycle from when it was collected. You know, I did kind of jump down their throat a little initially because there were, I think, 3 or 4 that were missed that first time, and they knew we were looking at it. So there really is no excuse
Right,
to miss
at
them.
this point,
There's no excuse. So the information's here. So if you're not if they're not complying with this, let the board know and we'll follow up.
I did see your complaint, and I called Matt Wagner right away. He worked on it, he said they did miss it. There was no doubt that they did miss it, and that they were gonna hand deliver the results to that party. But yes, they did contact him, had some trouble, but that was definitely one that they did miss. So, I did speak with him today in regards to a couple other things, but certainly if you have any questions you're not getting through, give me a call, let me know, send me an email, I will call him, I don't care when it is. He was available for questions tonight if we needed him, Matt Wagner meeting. But certainly, the only thing I see wrong with this is to contact Tracy Markham when, they're supposed to be working, Jeff Arps and Matt Wagner, for the town of Southbridge, not for Tracy Markham. It's the only thing I see wrong with it. So,
Well, that kind of tells you.
that's all. You know, Anna Smith does work for the town of Southbridge, I can see that. But Jeff Arps is listed last, but to contact Tracy, when we discussed before that these issues should go before the independent time bond supposed to be working for the town of Southbridge, not for Tracy Markham. So that's my only issue with that.
It's all the same. It's all the same.
That 24-hour notice that they're supposed to give you, whether it means anything or not, I got a phone call today about 9:30 this morning asking to come over today to test my water, which I told no.
The 24-hour notice we're talking about here is if there's a detection that requires a 24-hour
Right.
notice, they're saying what they're supposed to
But I thought
provide.
they're supposed to also call ahead of time and give you in the contract, say, we're gonna call you and schedule a time to come out, not say, hey, we're in the area.
Yeah, that's not listed specifically here, and you guys have an access agreement with them, and whatever you negotiate in that access agreement is what you should comply with. You know, if you said,
We're complying, but they're not necessarily complying. They called us on Sunday mornings on a holiday weekend when we weren't around and said we're coming out. So
again, that's,
that's not right.
Don't call me on a Sunday, asking to come out.
whatever negotiation you guys made in that agreement, that's an agreement between the two parties, and if they're not complying with it, and you have a problem with it, come to the board
Well,
and try
that's why I
to.
was just making it.
Okay. Yeah, we shouldn't really contact, something, I agree.
Any other comments on this?
I do.
John?
So far, within the disposal site, 4 homes have sold. 3 of them from out-of-state realtors. I don't know about 15 Eleanor. What is the board's action or plan to get in touch with these homeowners to make sure they get bottled water? If they were on bottled water before, that they continue to get it, that they get a new access agreement for their POET system, that they know the ins and outs of the POET system, who's responsible. They're not told they're responsible for it now. Who's going to take care of it? I've tried getting in touch with a couple of the people. I haven't been able to get in touch with them. So what's being done at the board's level to make sure that these people are being informed of what's going on in their property? Because I'm not sure what they've been told or not told by the realtors.
There's no way for me to know that there's something for sale until someone like yourself would notify, or Jeff Harps or Matt Wagner called and said, hey, that's been vacant with no contact. I have not seen any of that in reports. They usually put unable to contact vacant, and I haven't seen that. So
Yeah, I don't know what's going on at 81. I've stopped by there quite a few times. I know they were coming in from out of state. So I don't
81
know.
did request bottled water, which I did get for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there any plan in place for when you hear something to, what you're going to do or what needs to happen for these people?
Notify me, I will follow up on it.
Okay.
It's hard for me to know that the place is vacant, unless even Matt would call me and say, unable to, we had an agreement with 81 Edgewood Road or whatever, and there's no one there anymore, just to let you know that that's why the tests aren't coming by. I haven't received anything.
I mean, this board's not doing anything about it, John. We don't know when real estate's getting sold or
Yeah.
gonna, you know how that is, but, the homes that you mentioned, are they all within the quarterly sampling, the monthly sampling program?
90 now has a POET, 81 has a POET, and 65 has a POET already.
So I would think that.
I'm not sure about 15 Eleanor. I don't think they do, but I think they were getting water.
Not to assume, but I would think that just by being in that 30-day schedule or whatever, that they're gonna move in and there's gonna be a knock on the door saying, this is where you are. I can't imagine them not having any idea, but maybe they don't,
Yeah.
so. But there's no action with this board to do anything on that.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a mechanism that we can do to kind of get them in check or.
I'll talk to Matt and ask him, if someone out on foot, if they notice that there's a place vacant, please notify us. If someone moves back in, you need to make every attempt to, while you're out there, they're out there all the time.
I know.
Is to make sure you knock on the door, find out what's going on and notify us, because we're not sure. We had a gentleman call us, ask Andrea, say, why wasn't he notified that there was an issue with the water? Well, he bought it from out of state. And when you drive down that road, didn't you see all the signs? And you're asking now after you bought it? I wasn't trying to be rude to that. I said, did you notice every house that had a sign? And you're asking the Board of Health why we didn't contact you? How are we knowing that you're buying that house?
Right.
We have no idea. You need to do your own homework when you buy a place, and evidently he didn't do any. So,
The real estate just took care of it.
I did talk to a builder that was gonna put like 10 lots up on Eleanor Lane
Mhm.
before he did it, so he knows what's going on with it. Now, it's a builder, it's not the final user, but the builder was aware of the situation, 'cause he had no idea, he's not from around here, so.
No?
Isn't that a legal thing where real estate folks are supposed to inform them
I would think
about
so.
existing conditions?
Not always.
well, if you look by standards of DEP for potability of water, a lot of this stuff is below the drinking water standards. So,
Well, speaking of that, then these POET systems, are they getting deed restrictions?
I think we discussed this a long time ago. No. That's a good question.
Should
Take
they
it
be?
out. They should, I know they have to get a plumber's permit and put these on. we discussed that, I discussed it with Peter, but,
Are these POET systems temporary?
well, that's the thing, would they consider these temporary until there's a resolution, or is it temporary until, I'm not sure even if that goes with the home, if they sold it, do they take that system out?
Oh, God.
I don't know, I'll have to check on that, you know what I mean? That system, who does it belong to when they put it in
The
there?
access agreement says that it would transfer ownership to the
Okay,
next
so
person.
it's good to know, I've never seen one of those agreements, but.
So if you're a homeowner,
Yeah.
or if you're a prospective homeowner, and you go walking through this house, you're gonna be told, that's just a water softener? I mean, even if they're.
Well, you're right, and I've discussed, and I've called DEP and asked the question, and talked to Kevin Doss, he said, well, technically, if they're not lying, because if they ask, and it's well below the drinking standards, is the water potable? You're not lying when you say yes.
I know.
So unfortunately, that's what we're up against. And there's a couple properties that you could not, but they're not currently for sale, but, and I know that a few of them were sold that didn't realize that they were receiving bottled water, like the gentleman that called. I'm like, I don't know that it's sold, and we're not informed.
Because the way we police it is we mandate a deed restriction, but it's new construction.
Exactly.
So what happens after the original building permit, we don't know.
We don't know, we don't have any idea. We give deed restrictions, we did one today, I called you on one today. I mean, it happens a lot, but after the house is built, we don't know.
Yeah, I got another quick question.
Alright.
This is for Gary. Didn't know what his expertise is because our house, as you know, we've always been above the drinking standards. The last 2-3 months, miraculously, our levels have been cut in half, while the homes around us have gone up. How can that be explained?
What number are you guys again? 89. I mean, you know, usage, you know, low water levels, high water levels. If a fracture came in at 100 feet and it was impacted, and your water level under normal conditions was at, 95 feet, and your water always went from 95 to 98, you can stay above that fracture and you'd get some dilution to that. Now the water might be low, and the water might be at static, might be at 99, and be going from 99 to 101, so you're getting more concentration of that fracture. And that's where DEP's concerns are. Just because there's elevational differences, no one fully understands how much moves through each fracture. So I can't answer why it is doing it. We could have a lot of conceptual site models as to what might cause it, but to answer the question definitively, it's almost impossible. It's just so many variables that affect it. The best thing that we can do, and the best thing that I will continue to advocate for, is as much testing as possible of your drinking water wells. And as much of that testing being the raw, non-treated water, and obviously I'm gonna make sure the treated water is treated correctly for you guys, but that raw water data is critical because it starts to show those trends and evaluate things. But as far as why it's changed,
It's almost impossible to find out why. Is it something you've seen before with your own experience? Because it's kind of coincidental that they put in the POET system, all of a sudden our levels went in half. And that's incoming. Might have been a coincidence that our levels miraculously dropped real low the same time they put it in. Coincidences do happen, but I just can't see for 15 years our levels have been the same and gone up, and then all of a sudden they just drop.
I think you answered part of the question for yourself right there. 15 years and all of a sudden your system has only been in place for 3 months. So 15 years and 3 months, you're probably, unfortunately, you're looking at too small of a window.
Mm-hmm.
Ask me that question in a year, I would expect them to kind of stabilize. Again, contaminant concentrations will drop once the source goes away. We don't know definitively where the source is. Other people think the source is somewhere else. Is the source ongoing? Has the source, did it stop 20 years ago? We don't know. If it was, a simple example is a gas station release. Once the gas station is cleaned up, the well next door should get cleaner over a period of time because the source is not there feeding to it. All this data that continues to be collected shows that there is a problem in the H4 Road area. It's been there for a while, and it's fluctuating. Suggests that the source may still be existing.
I'd like to move on to the Flint Road water discussion. So, to thank everybody coming in for the topic disposal part. Now we're gonna move on to Flint Road. Gary's gonna
Flint Road.
update.
So Flint Road, similar process here. The town's obligated to do quarterly sampling. That was done in late October, and the results came in with no VOCs in 4 homes that were detected. It's forwarded data to you guys. 1,4-dioxane was tested in all 4 homes, not detected 3, as it was last time, and still detected a very similar concentration in number 63 Flint Road. I think it was .156 and .162, consistent with what it was detected at last time. The treatment system that was installed at 59 has been tested. That house has fluctuating concentrations of TCE in the influent, moving up and down, but again, it's a very short period. We tested it weekly when the system was installed. That treatment system is working effectively at removing VOCs. That data's been provided to the homeowners, provided to the Board of Health. Flint Road. So the actual landfill testing of the 54 Flint Road groundwater monitoring wells is not scheduled until the next quarter, which will be either in December or January, can't remember off the top of my head. The landfill, so moving to 90 Flint Road, the capped landfill, I conducted the inspection, the third-party inspection with Jim Malley about a week ago. Things look good. I'll get you guys a memo as to what should be done out there. There were 5 areas where the cap was exposed due to mowing operations. And when I say exposed, the areas range from 1 square foot to about 5 square feet in one area. So it's not detrimental to operation of the cap. At this point, they need to be repaired. It's kind of normal operation and maintenance. I don't consider that a corrective action. We have to submit a report to DEP, and significant things have to be defined as a corrective action. You put a corrective action plan together and then do the corrective action and then document the corrective action.
That was like that when they did the mow.
Right, and I believe
Nobody repaired it.
they haven't been repaired. So these are operational issues. It's analogous to the sign fell down or the fence isn't working or the gate's not where you repair the gate. So these are very minor repairs. So I'll make a recommendation to the board that those get repaired. I'll give you guys photos and documents and a figure as to where they are. And then we just work on figuring out the best way to do it.
Timeline, what's the exposure timeline like? We gotta get on it like,
Well, the growing season's over at this point, so whatever we put there is not gonna grow now anyways.
Right.
So, there's-
erosion risks is what I'm talking about.
yeah, it's at the top of the hill. These are all at the tops of the berm, so if it was down at the bottom of the hill, I'd be worried that it would continue to erode. They're not gonna get any worse. They've been like that.
Yeah, they've been there from day
Yeah, so they need to be repaired.
one. And we mentioned that the last time,
Yeah.
but it never got.
But we'll-
Right.
We'll give you a formal request, and I'll tell you how to repair them,
Mhm.
and then either have the mowing guy or somebody, or we'll get somebody out there to get it repaired. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, it might be, I'd be shocked if it's $2,000 worth of work to repair all these areas. It's not a big deal.
Jim, can you look into what we have in place for our mower schedule? I know we mowed this past fall or whatever. I know we talked, originally CMG said we were looking for a spring and a fall mowing. We did the fall mowing this year. I wanted to see what our contract is with DCB lawn maintenance, if we had awarded more than one mowing. That's what I'm,
Yes.
One spring, one fall.
we did
two.
one
Because
spring
you
and
did a
one
spring,
fall.
you've done a spring and fall.
He did a good job.
He did the spring one too?
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
It was
He
the-
came in and asked about whether you want him to post the signs, and he said he discussed with you. I said, I'm sorry, I meant to mention this to you before that. I said I would speak to you and get back to him.
For some reason, I don't think he did the spring one. I thought he did the fall one, he had one to go.
He sent me the pictures of both, I can get them to you.
All right, so he did the 2000.
I asked him to give me pictures when it was done.
Hmm.
He did it all himself, he did.
Oh, I
He
never
worked
did.
hard, did a good job, I think. I would give it to Gary. He did.
He did a good job, and on that note, if I may elaborate on that,
Yeah,
I looked at the closure monitoring, the post-closure monitoring report that was submitted,
Hmm.
and that was submitted to DEP, approved by DEP, says mowing must be done at a minimum annually, or must be done to keep the woody vegetation down. It appears to me that it might be more prudent to mow it once a year at this point, because the damage that we're seeing of exposing of the liner is caused by mowing, because it's very difficult to mow over the top of a berm. So each time we mow over the top of that berm, we're potentially damaging it. The grass is well established, there's good root structure there. I don't think it's gonna harm it if you only mowed it once a year. I don't think it's gonna harm it if you mow it twice a year, as long as the damage can be minimized.
and that's exactly what I'm getting at. I'm trying to find out what the contract is, because I know your recommendations for a one-time mowing, and I wanna, BCB's under the impression they've got two mowings continually, and I don't think he's correct on that. I think
I'll look at
he
it.
misinterpreted what we hired him for.
Because he did sign, I think the bid went out, it was specified in the bid, how many mowings, correct?
Yeah,
It was only a one-year contract, wasn't it?
correct. It was like for one mowing or for 1 year.
I thought it was a one-year contract with 2 mowers, but I could be wrong, I'll look at it.
That's what I thought it was too, because we didn't do the 3-year contract specifically.
Exactly.
So I'd like to, if you can just bring me back up to speed on what that contract is, because, Gary, when you give us your formal recommendation, I think the board's gonna have to take action on once or twice, you know?
I think it looked good with that one.
Yeah,
It
for this-
wasn't up that much, and they did all the rain off great.
Yeah.
And the wood were up there like that.
Mm. I know Gary's talking about bringing an excavator in that back detention pond and cleaning out some of the weeds and all that.
That's up pretty high.
Yeah, so if we can maybe save some pennies for the one mowing and take that funding for the second mowing and put that towards this
That
site
basin-
work.
That basin, the rear basin does need to be cleaned out, and sediment is built up. So the only action, things that, and again, those are standard maintenance, they're not corrective actions.
Right.
So that, and that basin will probably make it another year, but it should get in the schedule, it should get done.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, it's growing up, and then those few areas, 5 areas, whatever, need to be repaired.
Mhm.
And my other recommendation, and this won't be in that document because it doesn't relate, but because it's a difficult site to mow, you may want to consider a 2 or 3 year contract with, maybe 1 year extendable, because this guy did a nice job.
Mhm.
And I think if someone didn't do a good job, they're gonna create more damage than benefit to the town. So if you get somebody that does it well, and you can get him to do it the next year well, and get him to do it the next year well, it's gonna make your life a little easier.
We had to do that for funding.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just telling you, once you get a guy that's doing it well, I
Mhm.
think you might wanna, it's,
In my opinion, both contract, we've had 2 separate ones do it, and both guys have been
Good.
good.
oh, okay.
So,
Good.
there's 5 areas that you're talking about, and I know some of it was before the initial mow too.
I think some of is not, it doesn't, none of it appears that it happened, when I was there, they mowed within a month. And
Mm.
it doesn't appear that any of it had occurred then.
Right.
Some of it might have been there for a year before
A
that.
long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't wanna point a finger at either one of the contractors, but if we button it up, then we have another discussion with the contract saying, listen, we just buttoned it up, use extra caution and try and do it. But I think, I think we're good for now though on the number 90 Flint Road, right?
90 Flint Road is scheduled for a sampling event as well in either December or January.
Okay.
Did the
Tell us how
land-
that goes.
Yeah, we did the landfill gas monitoring, no issues whatsoever. Landfill gas monitoring went well.
Okay.
So, in general, things are good
Mhm.
there.
Great.
Let's wait till the next data set comes in.
Anything else? Or can we move on?
Your report to the DEP that Ben sent, that Robin reviewed and everything.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. So 54 Flint Road has an IRA,
Mhm.
just like the ones for H-Foot Road. We did submit a status report that was due. It was the second one. The next one now is not due for 6 months. And that status report said that the treatment systems are operating, said the town is doing what they're supposed to do, and they're providing bottled water. And it laid out the schedule of which I just talked about, the quarterly sampling, the monthly sampling of the house, that is the treatment systems, quarterly of the others. And the sampling that's gonna be done in the landfill.
It was pretty straightforward, so, and he had to get it out, like, the next day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they're
saw
always-
that.
Yeah, those reports, we try to keep them as straightforward as possible, just present the facts.
Anything
That's
else?
it.
Okay. Moving right along, then, say we move on to new business. Under new business, we have 508 International Potential Noise Level Discussion. Jim, who brought that up to our attention?
I believe Mr. Sanborn requested, through an email to me to place it on the agenda, which I did.
Okay. I'm gonna do a public disclosure as far as 508 International and the RANT organization that, and I filed a disclosure in our office a couple of times now at the Selectman's office. But I own Advantage Enterprises, tree service construction company in Charlton. I've been in business for 24 years. I have done work and currently work for both members of the RANT group as well as 508 International.